criticism for the time she spent overseeing a secret prison in Thailand where waterboarding was used as an interrogation tactic with suspected terrorists. We want to remind our viewers exactly what waterboarding is, as it could be the biggest point of controversy in her confirmation hearing. It is an enhanced interrogation technique that simulates the feeling of drowning. Make no mistake, that is the official word for it. It is torture. Here's what it looks like. This graphic is provided by quittorturenow.org. A person is strapped to a board, or in some way their head is angled downward. A cloth is placed over the person's mouth and water is poured over his or her face, causing the person to feel like their lungs are filling with water. The technique has been used for decades, but we began hearing about it more in the years after 9/11, when the CIA acknowledged that it used the tactic on some terror suspects. Now, according to declassified CIA cables, officers waterboarded one suspect, this guy, Abu Zubaydah, 83 times in 1 month at Haspel's prison. He told his lawyer, quote, "I really felt I was drowning and my chest was about to explode." NBC News has learned that Haspel was present at the suspect's interrogation, a fact that the CIA, by the way, denies. In 2009, then President Obama banned waterboarding and other harsh interrogation techniques, calling them torture. In 2014, the Senate Intelligence Committee released a blistering report about the CIA's tactics, calling them an ineffective means of acquiring intelligence. The report also claimed that the CIA's justification for using techniques, this is important, was based on, quote, inaccurate claims of their effectiveness. Joining me now is Mark Fallon. He's the author of Unjustifiable Means, the inside story of how the CIA, Pentagon, and U.S. government conspired to torture. He's also a former NCIS special agent. Mark, let me ask you this. A lot of people say Abu Zubaydah got waterboarded 83 times. Abu Zubaydah is the scum of the earth whose goal in life it is to kill Americans. Why should we care that he got treated badly and he felt like he was drowning?
Because as officers of the United States government, we adhere to the Constitution, and the United States adheres to the rule of law. So the application of torture techniques as a state-sponsored policy has been to the detriment of our national security, regardless of whom we've done it to.
Let me ask you, take you back to November 23rd, 2015, campaigning in Columbus, Ohio. Donald Trump said this about waterboarding.
Would I approve waterboarding? You bet your ass I'd approve it.
When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their lives. Don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their families.
Mark, putting aside the humanity of it and the morality of it, what's the problem with using torture to get information from suspected terrorists?
Well, there's a number of things, but the morality, the illegality of it, the ineffectiveness of it. Not just is it ineffective, it's counterproductive. It produces false and fabricated information, and that information results in flawed decision-making processes. And so we use the derivative results of torture and the information obtained under torture to drive us to war with Iraq. We use false and fabricated information from Ibn Sheikh al-Libi, an emir of an al-Qaeda training camp, who said there was al-Qaeda in Iraq and later said he just said that so the pain would stop.
In fact, you've said waterboarding you said waterboarding works the same way that rape works and genocide works. If you're looking to get actionable, reliable intelligence, it's totally ineffective. Ali Velshi was on the show yesterday, and he said very similar things, that if you really are looking for real information, as opposed to someone to sing like a bird, torture is not going to get you there.
That's absolutely correct.
You look at a guy like John McCain, who was subject to torture for a long time. You'd almost think he'd have a little revenge in him, and he thinks it's the wrong thing to do.
Well, it's the wrong thing for a number of reasons. Operationally, it's absolutely ineffective and counterproductive. But strategically, it is a detriment to our national security. If you look at the al-Qaeda terrorist network, at the time of the USS Cole attack, and I was involved in that investigation, and 9/11 attacks, and I was a chief investigator for the Trials Before Military Commission, what we've seen is al-Qaeda was in the hundreds as far as al-Qaeda members. There's thousands and thousands of al-Qaeda members now. Yep. So the strategy of applying torture and dehumanizing human beings has been to the detriment of our national security, and it has increased violent extremism. It has enhanced terrorist recruitment and terrorist financing. So it's a detriment to our national security.
So let me ask you this. Gina Haspel, I'm sure, is going to say what one should say, and that is she will not work around U.S. law, and U.S. law prevents torture now. Is it important to you that she provide an opinion on whether she thought it was the right thing to do when she was allegedly involved in it?
Well, we need some transparency here. John McCain, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to oppose this, as are other senators and members of Congress. When President Obama took office, he decided to look forward, not backwards, and offer impunity to torturers. And under the Convention Against Torture and international law, there's universal jurisdiction that can be applied for torture that was committed, for international war crimes. And these were war crimes. The International Criminal Court at The Hague is currently looking now at determining whether to investigate the United States for war crimes for our EIT, excuses to inflict torture, interrogation policies.
Mark, good to talk to you as always. Thank you for joining me. Mark Fallon is a former NCIS special agent and the author of Unjustifiable Means, the inside story of how the CIA, Pentagon, and the U.S. government conspired to torture. We'll turn back to the student marches after the break. On the left, you see what's unfolded this morning about half a mile from here outside the Capitol. But inside the Capitol itself, a bill to strengthen background checks remains at bay. We'll ask one senator, Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, when we come back.
If theft were this frequent, you'd definitely do something about it. Well, it is. An identity is stolen every 2 seconds. And you can do something about it with Experian. See if your identity has already been compromised with a free dark web scan at Experian.com/darkweb.